Hey guys, got a comparison shave today. This is a Maseto 24 millimeter Silvertip brush, and this is the Memphis shaped handle. I like it a lot, kind of that barber style. I'm going to put him back in the water to soak. He's soaked for about 6 minutes, 5 minutes so far, so that's probably long enough if I had to shave with him now. But let me show you the rest of the gear. This is the UK Gillette Tech. It's a vintage razor, and it shaved me really well the other day. I enjoy it a lot. It and the Canadian version I like a lot better than the American versions, which I still like quite a bit. This is the blade we're going to put in, pretty fresh. It's been used once. Gillette Silver Blue. It does a really good job for me on so many razors. Sometimes I put wax on the black dots on the interior wax paper. But since this is a blade I am going to use till about 10 or 12 uses and then pitch, because I've got another GSB that I'm using for my long-term marathon testing. All right, so the Tech, as usual, has this rail running down the middle, and then these 4 posts that help to keep that blade perfectly aligned. A little bit of a rush tonight, so I'm not going to show you. If you want to look at the underside of this, you can view the previous video. Maybe it was even yesterday's. Just go back 1 or 2 days and look for the UK Gillette Tech. And yep, the blade looks right. American Blend is the fine soap that we're using today. I'm going to pour the bloom water in the thing and kind of look at it. That might be a little too much. I'm going to pour a lot of it out. So there's not a lot in there, but that does conserve a little bit of soap once you, if you want to do that. I had the soap soaking for probably about 5 minutes as well. I like American Blend a lot. It's their barbershop type scent. Okay, so let me throw a bit of water on my face. All right, let's load up this brush, and we'll talk about the test I'm going to do. I picked this Silvertip on purpose because it doesn't have treated tips. The lather is what I'm looking at today. At the 5-second mark, it's rotating a little bit. So that's why I'm switching to back and forth motions instead of circles. I have used this soap before, but it was in a different container. So I think maybe I'll load for 45 seconds since the soap is being so movable. And I started at the 5 mark, so that means at the 50 mark of the recording here, I'll stop. Because if the puck is moving underneath your, actually, you know what, because the brush, yeah, I'll just keep doing the kind of back and forth mostly. Whatever you think gonna dig up the lather for you. Oh wow, I went I went 55 seconds because I was so distracted by the fact that the soap puck was moving. But the cool thing is, this is the very bowl that was designed to hold these refill pucks. And these bowls have been discontinued. There are still a few of them out on the market, but apparently they just didn't sell as well as the fine accoutrements folks wanted them to. And I really get a kick. I really enjoy using the ceramic bowls, and so I like my Mitchell's Wool Fat one and the tobacco one, as well as the nice wooden ones that we get from D.R. Harris. All right, so that was a 55-second load. I'm going to compare this fine soap with Stirling. I enjoy both of those soaps a lot. They're great budget soaps too. They cost, at least the $12.50 used to be the cost of the fine pucks, the refill pucks. But I guess that's irrelevant now, since I think they're going to stop selling just the pucks by themselves. You'll need to buy them in the, at least whenever they run out, whenever all the different resellers run out of the ones in the little boxes, just the puck only, you'll have to buy the one in the plastic tub. I mean, which is kind of cool. It's still a tub and it's got a nice logo on it and stuff. And you'll still be able to, as far as I know, take that soap out of the plastic tub and pop it in your ceramic bowl if you've already purchased a few of the fine bowls. Just adding a little water. This is not a true reproducible test, since we left a little bit of the bloom water in the bowl. It doesn't look like a whole lot, but the main goal I just wanted was to get a good lather, because I'm not comparing 55 seconds of loading of fine soap versus 55 of the Stirling soap, because the goal here is just to experiment with the lather, get a really good lather from both Stirling and fine, and to see if I like one better than the other. I have no idea. I know I like them a lot. Now, I am going to compare Stirling's beef tallow base, which is what most of their soaps are made from. They do have a mutton tallow base available in sheep, Scots pine sheep, electric sheep, Glastonbury, Varan, and Port-au-Prince. And that mutton tallow base is tremendous. It's actually even better than the beef tallow base. But since that's not as popular among, because it's only, that base has a little bit of funk to it, and so that's why they only paired it with certain scents that would kind of work with, you know, that funk. And so I'm not going to compare the mutton tallow base. And boy, I tell you what, I believe that mutton tallow can compete with even the top tier soaps. I really do. And that Port-au-Prince, now I don't like it as an aftershave because it's got some spices that I don't really like to hang around with for long periods of time, but for a shaving soap, man, that's a good one. I enjoy that one. And the Glastonbury too, a little bit of a patchouli type scent on that one. And the Varan, if you like the fern type scents, the Varan, I believe it's going to be re-released in the spring, and so it's a seasonal. So if you want to try that mutton tallow base on a really good scent, plus the Varan was a custom creation by Stirling. It's one that they worked on themselves to create the scent just like they wanted it. And here's the good news about fine and Stirling. I know these soap bases, and I know that I can pump these suckers full of water and they will hold it just fine. So I've put in 2 teaspoons already, plus maybe the 3/4 of a teaspoon or half a teaspoon, that 3/4 that might have been in the bowl prior. The reason I chose the Silvertip without the treated tips of like a finest badger is because I wanted to feel, to evaluate the lather, a super soft kind of bleached tip brush could mask. It doesn't give you an accurate feel. It just, because it's soft, it's just super soft, and so I wanted to give me a soft feel with like the brush, but not so soft I don't want the brush to get in the way. Man, this lather's tremendous. Look at that. Not very many walls and ridges and things like that. You can pull it up and look at some stretch. It is collapsing on itself a little bit. One of my all-time favorites is Fine Accoutrements Santal Absolute, and that one is a sandalwood scent that I really enjoy. I mean, look at this base. This is just gorgeous. So at this point, I'm not doing testing on which soap base is going to last longest, like will give me the most uses. I'm just focusing on performance at this point. Had a guy ask online on a comment 2 weeks ago, Gabe, I think, and he said, which do you like better, Stirling or fine? So I'm going to find out. Now that's, look at that, look how elastic that is. I have tons in the bowl here. That right there is why fine is on my list. Look at it. That is the way a lather should, my favorite lathers should look. Now, do you like your lathers the same wetness level? Maybe, maybe not. You might like yours a little drier. Get my face wet one more time. I do have hard water. Been 24 hours since my last shave. That's what kind of growth we're dealing with. And this is, it started out kind of cool water, but I mixed it for a few minutes really well, and so it kind of turns into lukewarm lather. So if I feel it's not quite peak on my face, this is definitely not too wet. If it's anything, it's maybe a little bit too dry. It's got a pretty mellow scent to it. It's not strong. This is their barbershop. Got a tiny bit of herbiness, but mostly it's a little bit of soapy. I don't really know. It's just fresh and clean. It's not punchy like some kind of green scent or any kind of bitter scent. It's pretty smooth. All right, now I believe that I probably can add some more water. So I'm going to take the lather that's on the side of the brush and scrape it off. Add a little bit to the brush. Feels like a very kind of thick, viscous, luxurious lather right now, but I want to slick it up just a bit more. This is also giving the lather time to work into my skin and be able to protect it really well. Man, did not need to load for this long. I'm going to end up with so much lather. I can feel it starting to lighten up just a little bit with the addition of the water, and that's why I like this syringe, because I can very easily add water in amounts of just a few drops if I just need to fine tune and tweak, or if I'm adding to the bowl, I can add it by teaspoon. This handle does get a little slippery when I have an excess amount of lather around, so just simply put it under the faucet with the brush tip up, and that way clean your handle easily. Speed of the brush as you move on your face can sometimes be one of the easiest tells as to how much hydration a lather has. If it feels kind of draggy on my face, then I'm used to a nice fast one, a light. And see, look at all this lather we keep on generating. That's what happens, ladies and gentlemen, if you load a little bit too much. I probably loaded 2 or 3 times too long, so I have to deal with the work of thinning down my lather. I like that fine is a hard puck. If you want to keep a puck around for a long time, then it's just not going to go bad on you. Probably puck would, it may diminish in scent a little bit, but its lifespan can probably be measured in a few decades instead of a couple of years because of that. Sorry, I just mixed it too rich, loaded for too long. So that means we kind of have to make adjustments. Then you can feel it start to kind of thin out more. Feel lighter on your face. Really like this brush. It's very soft, but it's not floppy. So it keeps those nice tips focused at you and on your skin. There we go, we're getting there. Right before I add water to the knot, I do a circle on my cheek, and that creates a little well in the middle of the brush, like that. Makes it easy to add the water without it immediately sliding out. And look at all this lather we keep making. All right. I just hadn't used this puck in a while. I also hadn't used the fine with the Silvertip brush in a little while, and I just wanted to play it safe. Well, I played with it kind of too safe. And so now I'm having to make adjustments. Plenty, so much lather. Might have enough on my brush right now for the whole shave. Well, there's a fast forward feature on YouTube. Hit that gear icon in the bottom right. Change the playback speed. If you're ever watching a video that maybe is getting a little monotonous, 1.5 times the playback speed is a little fast. And most of the time, unless you're watching a recording of a fast talker, then you can still understand what they're saying. 1.25 gives you a little bit more movement. I mean, a little bit of movement from the normal pace, but it's much more easy to understand the words than the 1.5. So you pick your setting there. Well, I think we've got a great looking lather here. I could, finger fit. Yeah, we're ready to quit on this one. This is good. Nice and slick and creamy. I've got tons of it. And my hair grows from the top to the bottom on my cheeks. So I'll start with a north to south type direction. And I'm going with the direction of growth, and so we call that with the grain. Now my neck, as well as many guys' necks, things get a little different. My direction of growth on my neck comes up here, goes over this way, and then comes down right like that. And so I kind of do this stroke right here is coming across the concave portion of my neck, and sometimes you can cut yourself because the corners are putting too much pressure and the center isn't even touching the skin. And so I switch on my neck. I don't really do a very much of a with the grain pass. I do a cross grain, and this Gillette Silver Blue is just working really well. Lather is nice and slick. This razor is so good. Comfortable, but still efficient. Cuts well. All right. So I've got a bunch of excess because of all the hydration I had to do. So I'm going to do a rinse. Let's analyze the lather a little bit, because if it's going to come up against Stirling, then they're both going to be really good. So let's look at some minutia. It does have, don't know if you can see, but a bunch of little micro bubbles there. But unlike some of the vegan soaps out there, it doesn't translate to a thin, airy lather. So many of those vegan soaps, and even a couple of tallow ones out there, will have a nice layer of slickness on your skin that protects and does its job. But then on top of that, it's just an airy layer that's just so light. And if you back off of the water so that you try to fix that airy lather, then you don't get that wetness, the hydration and the slickness that can be had. So you kind of have to pick to sacrifice one. Chiseled face kind of reminds me of that a little bit. And so you just don't get this kind of luxury slick feel with chiseled face. And of course, PDP and some other vegan soaps don't have this often as well. Now there are some good vegan soaps out there. I mean, some, even better ones, but so I have it's a wonderful viscous feeling that's slick without being greasy, without being an oily slickness on my fingers, or a buttery kind of slickness. It's just a really nice. The feel of the lather is terrific. Try to remember that as we shave. We'll shave with a Stirling soap tomorrow. Okay, throw a little bit of water, more water on my face. Since we did a little bit of analysis there. Now I'm going back to the tub, and we know that this is kind of concentrate here. So I am going to juice this up and do a little bit of mixing. Also, a good soap and Stirling and Fine both do this. You can push a lot of water in it and go overboard, and it'll still shave you slick. It just will be a little bit light. In fact, some straight razor shavers kind of prefer that instead of the thicker, even than what I do, lather that we often use with double-edged razors. They need that slickness. Yeah, I've got so much. Look at that. That is, oh, you didn't see it because I didn't tilt the bowl. It's collapsing on itself. Look, that is so hydrated. So I want to make sure I get a nice uniform mixture. So let's just stir it for a minute. And this nice inturned lip keeps the lather, and this thing is chock full, keeps the lather in the bowl. Let's go at it. And also, I mentioned that a good soap will give you a nice thin slick lather and hold the hydration without breaking down. It'll also go the other way and allow you a thick, luxurious lather that's a little bit maybe on the dry side, if that's what you want. And cross grain now that it's the second pass, and comfortable, nice. If your lather's too wet, sometimes you'll have skipping across. I exaggerate a little bit, but you'll know it when it happens to you. But let me tell you something. The skipping is kind of nice. And here's why. Because it means you're holding the razor loosely. It means you're letting it glide over your skin instead of you trying to force something. You're trying to keep leverage and things like that. We don't want that. Maybe that light pressure is what helps me to take blades so far. I don't know for sure. Rinse. Oh, the rinse here is just terrific. That was fully luxurious. So let's load up the brush once again. Don't have to do too much scrubbing. Just kind of move it around, and also feeling the brush as it works with the lather. And this right here might be my perfect lather consistency. You can see how it's not so light that it's just flopping off. It's not so thin, you know. But it's not super opaque. There are still parts, you know, that you can almost just see some skin tone through, and there's nothing wrong with that. All right, cross grain again, and it should be even smoother than the second pass. As always, with this kind of shaving, there are some people who try to do it all in one pass, and, you know, do what you want. But most people use kind of a 2 or 3 pass method where the first pass might be with the grain, second pass cross grain, and then the third pass against. I don't do against because my skin just doesn't like it. All right, there we go. And I re-lathered because I had some excess lather on my face, and so I just kind of reapplied it. And I've got a lot of moisture here because of the water, plenty of hydration in the lather. And so there's very, very good slickness to be had and to be redistributed if you have some spots you want to touch up. And there's a nice close cut right there. Really happy about that. That's a nice close cut, comfy shave. Really happy. Really happy with it. So the tech did great with the Gillette Silver Blue, kind of as I thought. And man, I have been kind of wasting this lather and taking chunks of it for testing and just, you know, letting it go down the sink because there's so much of it. And we've got a nice, pretty much a perfect consistency here, at least for what I like. Look at that. That's terrific. All right. Some different things I'm thinking about in terms of comparing these two soap bases. The luxurious feel on your face. And you'll get that if it's too dry as well, but make sure that you get that luxurious feel on your face. and make sure it's well hydrated and slick and elastic like you just saw. The scent strength isn't really important. I'm just talking about performance, and so scent strength is not an issue there. And just for your information though, this American Blend, it's a light scent. It's just a classic. I don't think it's going to offend too many people at all, and just very clean. It is there. It's a 3 out of 10, maybe 4 out of 10 on the scent strength category. But obviously a slick razor movement on your face. You're looking for that. It's definitely had that really well. A good finger feel, because to me, there are plenty of lathers that you can just put on your face and work and use, and you'll feel the slickness with the razor moving. But my fingers are what feel that airiness that I was telling you about with some of the other soaps. And this one, I added so much water to it that but it still held. And it still felt, I could feel the cushion, the resistance to me squeezing a little bit. And it felt slick, and like I was squeezing a feather light pillow, and just terrific, just terrific. And Stirling is kind of this good too. I'm hoping that I remember enough about today's to be able to compare them both really well with my shave with Stirling tomorrow. I'm going to use the same brush, same razor, and all that, just to kind of keep the variables to a minimum. But yeah, the efficiency, how much soap you need to use to get to that performance, not a concern for me at this point with this test. Just pure performance. How does it feel? How does does my face feel good afterwards? And I like the way it's not drying, but it also doesn't leave behind oils and grease and things like that. Let's see, the feel during rinses. I think that's part of the experience of this kind of shaving, man. When you have a thin lather that still holds on to a luxurious feel when you rinse it away. See, those are two sides of a coin that it's hard to find. Plenty will have a nice, well-hydrated, thin lather, slick lather, but they don't have that luxury feel. You have to back off of the wetness a little bit to get the luxury feel, but not with the fine soaps. Fine also, it's a hard puck, so it doesn't have a lot of those post-shave oils and butters and things like that the current Milk Steak and Excelsior soaps from Declaration Grooming and Barrister and Man respectively. They have a lot of post-shave built into the soap. And that's not the case with Fine. And at one time, as I started to say earlier, $12.50 was the cost of a refill puck, and a whole tub of almost 6 ounces of Stirling, about the same price, about $13. So it's comparable in terms of price. And I figured out with some calculations and some testing that a tub of Stirling, that 5.8 ounce size, with bowl lathering, which is good for conserving soap, will last me about 13 months on one tub of Stirling, which is crazy economical. Wonderful, wonderful. I will someday do some tests, similar tests on the Fine soaps, and we'll see how it comes in that regard. So a wonderful feel. I did feel the soft tips of the brush. I did feel a little bit of the wiriness on occasion, but it's a wonderful lather. I keep using words like that aren't super helpful to you, but it was slick and protected. I felt very protected. Razor was able to move around quickly and safely. Nothing at all like even a hint of irritation, actually. Let's throw an alcohol splash and really test it out. I have this Arko, which is kind of similar in scent to the Aqua Velva, the old style. And this is Arko Cool. So it's kind of got that blue scent that we know and love. So let's see. Cleanse, clean with the alcohol, disinfect. A little bit of stinging, and stinging's gone. So very nice. And this cap just pulls on and off. There's no screwing or anything like that. It took me a little while to figure that out. Oh, that's a good scent. The American Blend is not a strong scent like I was mentioning, and so pretty much any scent you want to put on after it, it's not going to fight with. It's going to be nice. And I'm going to clean up. So this is not as dense as some of the high density knots that we're seeing right now in the 2-band arena, but it's a big knot. It really is. Pretty good backbone. And when I say pretty good backbone, I mean mid to maybe slightly on the mild side, where it snaps back into position. It keeps those nice tips focused at your face, and you're not dealing with the sides of the bristles because it's flopping over, but it's still easy to splay, and this is exactly that. It's easy to press in and keep it in the splay and work and enjoy. And this is hasn't been used too many times, and so I'm not surprised if I lose a couple of hairs. I won't care about that until maybe it hits 50, 60 uses, and then I might start being concerned. All right. Who knows? 6 teaspoons might have been the amount of water I used, maybe 8. It's less important right now because I'm just focused on the performance. All right. I don't have any of the fine aftershaves. They have menthol in them, and they're mostly alcohol, and so they do have the scent, but there's not very much skin food in them right now. I think they kind of switched to be a little bit more expensive too, but especially with the menthol, and that makes me sad. But maybe I'll find a deal on one of these days, and just to try it. There's a new fine scent that was just released recently in conjunction with West Coast Shaving. The scent is Aquamarine, and it's aquatic and something else, kind of cool and fresh perhaps. Check that out if you think you might like to visit that. I think I've used, excuse me there, I think I've used Stirling soaps a little bit more than the fine soaps, but as I recall, the beef tallow is going to be really similar to this. Just very nice, slick, holds a lot of water, feels good in the fingers. So interesting to see if I can tell a difference. You know what? If I can't, maybe then I'll use fine the next day, Stirling the next day. Fine, keep doing that and seeing if I can ever tell a difference. And if I can't, then that means they're close enough to be awesome and to kind of tie in the race. All right, well, hey, I hope there's been something here that has helped you out. This is Sugar Daddy Shaves. You take care and good night.